How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to episode 2 of Echoes of Ragnarok, our wonderful TTRPG campaign run with the Fantasy Age by Green Ronin, and all within my wonderful world of Hymgard. We are back here today. Unfortunately, our young dark soldier Ulf, so Fracture Plays, cannot make it tonight. But we will continue on regardless because, well, scheduling issues happen. But as long as we've got 3 people, we should be okay. Just a reminder to everyone, we are running this using the Age system or Fantasy Age, and we have the wonderful Green Ronin Publishing, who have created the Age system and multiple source books under its name. And they have joined on as affiliates for our stream. If you want to get yourself any of the Age system stuff or anything like that, remember to use the code METALGM to get 5% off your purchase. And also, speaking of the code METALGM, you can also use the code METALGM to get $5 off the Arkenforge toolkit. Arkenforge make wonderful TTRPG map-making programs and software. Please do check them out. They are Australian owned and run, and they're all really cool stuff. So go check that out. But with that all said, we have our wonderful crew all assembled here. Just quickly, just introducing yourselves again, starting with our wonderful Ada.
Hi, I'm Mootley, and I'm playing our Seaborn Elf lady about town, Ada, as she strives to steal everybody's money and everybody's hearts.
Mac.
Hello, I am Festus Mac, and I'll be playing Hugo CDC Smith, a dwarf that you'll get to know.
Cool. And Rogue.
Hello, I'm the overworked rogue, and I am playing Eric of Midgard, a mage doctor who is just tired and depressed.
Like, if there's one thing that we have gotten across at this stage, it's that everyone is just like, shit, don't worry about him. Just don't bother with him.
That.
Yeah,
that's how he normally is.
Awesome.
If he smiles, run away. I'm pretty sure that's a bad time.
Cool.
It's like there's a scan of color across the landscape, and then Eric in all grey, and then the rest of the world.
Yes.
Who is somehow like anime style, like draining color from the immediate area around him.
Hey, listen,
My name's
being
Eric.
that depressed
Eric
takes
Noir.
effort.
Awesome. So yes, again, we're very excited to share all this with you, and we'll jump into a recap real quick as soon as we get through our intro. So let's jump in to our second episode of Echoes of Ragnarok. In our last session, the 4 of you, in your own way, came sort of weaved together by a young boy, a young member of Ada's crew, who staged a bold and initially quite deft pickpocketing that ended up in a bit of a shambles and led to essentially all of you finding your way to Ada, and one of you, who unfortunately is not here, but one of you now owing a favor to one of the main, shall we say, like criminal lords of Vartangada. Through this time, you also enjoyed the some of the delights of the festival of Sigurblot, being the end of winter, the return of the sun, and also the commemorating event for the return of Balder at the end of Ragnarok. After a brief game of dice, or a showing of a game of dice,
I believe it was 2-ups.
and a, what do you call it? A hog at the Molten Pig. You made your way back down towards the harbor, where Lord Bragi and Lady Adun, the divine overlords, shall we say, of Vartangada, gave a brief speech to the opening of Sigablot. But now, as the sort of more fireworks blast into the air, sending scatterings of color against the sky, you turn and find yourself with Vartangada at your fingertips. What would you like to do?
Why do I feel like Mac's character is just gonna grab my arm and just go, "I want to play this," and I'm like, "Why am I being dragged along with you?"
So you
That's a great idea.
So you do see, and you would all be aware, for those of you who've been here longer than a year, you do know that there are various sort of games. There's always a lot of food, a lot of music, a lot of various performances, and a lot of, and on top of that, like a lot of the taverns will have throughout, usually into the evenings, will have various sort of shows and games on. But yeah, so what would you, where are you headed? What are you after?
Are there any games that require aiming or some kind of, a trick game?
Trick game, like how do you mean exactly?
You know those games, how they have the buckets and you've got to throw the ball in the bucket, but the ball will bounce out of the bucket?
Oh,
so
yeah.
You mean rigged, is what we're trying to say. Rigged.
So
yeah.
you're looking for like...
Well, they're not rigged, there's just a very specific way to win.
Or like proper carny games.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a section, a whole like section of the main sort of thoroughfare of Vartangada that is dedicated to various carnival games. As you are you headed to that area?
Yes.
Cool. Looking through that, you do see a number of
Come
games.
on, Ada, let's go for a bloody game, eh?
All right, love.
Wonderful.
So you see that there are a couple of there are a number of games here. There's a few of them that are sort of like your basic like ring toss or like just sort of trying to like throwing to knock down cans and that sort of thing. There's a game called Goblin Clubber, which is basically like a duck shooting game, but with like small goblins instead of ducks. You see off to one side, there's a bunch of people lining up for what looks like a pie eating contest. And there's another section where you see a bunch of children, but there's also a few adults in there that have like these sort of like wooden weapons in this sort of penned off area. They seem to be fighting a sort of a large sort of multi-headed snake, like mechanical or like sort of like puppeted essentially. Yeah. But yeah, what are you after?
Honestly, I'm kind of interested in the multi-headed snake, just the mechanics of it. Like, his eyes are immediately going to be like, oh, that is sick, mate. And it's like, no, kids are playing with it. I'll ask about it later. God damn, I'll wait till the kids clear out.
Mm-hmm.
That looks so fun. Yeah, I'm definitely going to try and find one of the games that requires a trick to win it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to try and use engineering to figure out the right angle to throw the ball, or depending on the game, change it up.
Okay. Yeah. So you'd find one that's essentially it's a version of it's almost like skee ball, like in that you've got to, but it's in that way of like the same thing. You've got to throw but instead of like sliding the ball, you've got to throw the ball. But it's in that idea of like there's various sort of rings that you can get the ball into, which makes it tricky. You know that having played a bit of this, I imagine you know that, and knowing sort of a bit about how the angles and everything work, you know that it's more likely if you go for the middle one, it's designed to be more likely that it's going to bounce out, essentially, and usually into one of the lower rings, which are like the, like 5-point ones.
Keychains. Okay. I'm going to go for the second highest scoring point area. And I'm going to try and get it through into there after watching a few people try before me. Now, would it be easier to win if you were taller or shorter?
I don't think it'd matter that much. It's more like, possibly if you were shorter, just in the sense of like being able to, sort of like not have it go up as high. But really, it's not. It's really a case of how far can you throw a ball, really, or how accurately can you throw a ball.
No. I'm going to try to win skee ball. First roll of the night. I'm just going to walk up to the mate. Hey, mate, how you going? How much for a game?
The figure turns around. Is this sort of like older human fellow, hunched over, sort of liver slightly, sort of skin that's starting to liver spot, and like these like very hairy forearms as he looks up with these glasses that slightly magnify his eyes, slightly buggily, and as he goes, so what?
How much for a game, mate?
Oh, I 1 hex silver for 3 balls.
Yeah, all right, that's more than I've got. I give him 1 hack silver.
It turns around and like rummages through and pulls out these sort of small, what is it like? It's these like small like hard rubber balls. He hands her, he's like, welcome to fire when ready.
All right, I'm gonna give it a go. Because why not?
Yep, cool. So roll me accuracy, please.
So I got a max 9 and a 4 on the special dice.
Cool. So it was 9 total?
Yes.
Cool. You like take this moment and you're like aiming it down and and the first ball hits against one of the one of the rings, bounces across 2 sections of it and lands in like essentially like in about the 5-point round.
Man turns goes to the background. Go Hugo.
Hugo, he's our man.
Hugo's like, I'm not sure if we're being watched by some overlord god, but fuck you. And I'm gonna
Eric
try
is right
again.
next to her going.
Cool.
Good job.
Roll your second one.
Very impressed. 10 out of 10.
11 and a 2 on the special die.
Cool. You throw the second one as it hits and like circles the like almost like rings around the middle ring and then hops out into like about the 10-point mark.
Motherfucker!
2 hacks silver, he doesn't get it. He whispers to Ada.
Turns like the man turns back and he's like, I think you've got 1 more there.
Bloody hell, I do, mate. Ready? And he throws it. Oh.
That sounded terrible.
I got a 7, and I got a 1 on the special die.
You take the last one, and you like take it and you pull back and you pivot, and it hits just the back of the tent, like the back of the thing that's gone straight over the the entire target area and hits the fabric, and he's like, I don't like.
I don't want to hear it. Give me my keychain.
Okay, yeah.
Ada gives Eric
Fucking
2 hack silver of Hugo's own money.
He just tucks it in. He probably knows it's stolen, but he doesn't care.
Cool. Yeah, and you sort of like wander off. Ada and Eric, what are you up to?
Ada would like to do the things that she would normally do in this kind of environment, which maybe actually end up wandering to more the rich side of the festival rather than the poor side of the festival. But she's interested in the politics that's going on around and any rumors and etc. That she can pick up. But she is happy to let the others frolic for a little while before she wanders. It's like she's got some strange, weird attachment to them that she doesn't, whatever.
I feel like Eric is wandering around looking at things and just like rigged. It's like rigged, stupid, expensive.
Oh, but that one's the shooting one.
It's like, can I go home now?
No, you cannot. We are gonna win one bloody game before we exit this place today.
You see, as you're like wandering down the way,
Beach.
wandering around down the sort of the edge of this small, like canal that's next to you, there is suddenly this of smoke in front of you, and there's this man standing facing away from you is just like turns around as he turns around to look at you. You see he's got just pie all over his face. As he does, like, I think that means I'm out. Sorry. Wait.
Before you leave, tell me where you came from.
He goes,
And where do we get the pie?
I was at the pie eating contest. He points over towards the the way that you've come from. And he's like, yeah, I think I'm a go. And he turns around, like hurries off down the road, like wiping his face off with his hands.
Yeah, have a good one, mate.
Eric's just like looking at him with pleading eyes, like, please don't try to do that.
Yeah. I turn around and look directly at Eric and be like,
he's already shaking his head.
I think you're hungry.
I'm not.
So hungry, like I can hear the growling in your stomach.
I had a bowl of soup before I came here. I'm fine.
Soup ain't gonna fill you up. Let's go get some pies.
I'm full. Why are you dragging me? Please stop. Help me. Help. Ada.
If you're dead inside, you need pie.
So you make your way back down the way you came. It's very easily found. There's a large crowd around it at this stage, and you see a group of people who are still at the final stages of just like, sort of pushing pie to their face. There's multiple like tins that are just taken out across the table. Finally, one of them just stops and is like, and the person running the show is just sort of like, 3, 2, 1, you are out. We have a winner. And you see this sort of dwarven fellow stands up. He looks like he is about to be sick himself as he's like, and then like just sort of waddles off the stage. And he turns around and says, "We will have our next contest in 5 minutes. Don't go anywhere." And he sort of makes his way down the side of the stage to a small table.
You can run in 5 minutes.
Kicks you in the back of the leg. No, you can't.
It's like, get off my leg.
Wraps around his leg. You're not going nowhere.
He's trying to shake him off, but
you need sustenance, mate.
I need you to get off my leg and stop having you hump me like a weird little animal. Get
You're
off.
the one jumping up and down. Stop making it weird.
Didn't he eat like a small bowl of something for his size? I'm sure it was enough what he ate at the Molten Pig.
That's what I said, but this little miscreant doesn't seem to listen.
He might go into a food coma. Something about too much taste or like sensation.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I'm not deeming that with a response. Can you get off my leg?
Oh no, I'm standing up. Ada's right. You've probably had a good meal. For you.
Okay, listen, for the 5th and final time.
Nah, it won't be the final time.
It's like, a human body can survive on caffeine, water, and a bowl of soup. I've tested this theory.
Is that why you look like you've got charcoal under your eyes?
I mean, there's pale and then there's you.
Like, I'm pretty sure if you came out of a coffin and we were walking past, we'd think the dead were rising.
I mean, Weaver did describe you as that zombie.
Yeah, you got described as a dead
Wait.
guy.
When was that?
After I got robbed.
Which time?
Today.
Oh,
I've only been robbed once today. It's pretty good, actually.
for you, yes, actually it is.
Yeah. I'm going to put an explosive in my coin pouch. I'm going to call it a clayless. It's like a miniature little thing.
Oh dear. Okay.
Already getting a headache.
So what are you doing?
Ada, you seem to have a plan on where you want to go with this.
Me? I'm just here to observe the people, get the goss. I was letting you... I mean, you can come hang out with me if you like.
Steal everything that's not tied down, you mean?
I mean, sounds fine to me.
With the people that I run with in this other space, I don't steal anything.
You're right.
Just their
your cronies.
secrets.
Oh, that too.
Well, let's try and find some less rigged games that aren't completely and utterly no one can win type games, like the other one before, and we'll listen in to see what we can find. People talk.
Look, they do have some of the finest coffee in the area, Grumpy One.
Why didn't you lead with that? I'm just like, where? And I'm already walking a direction. Just be like, am I going the right way?
He looks like a stiff breeze could blow him over.
I'm not that skinny.
How can you hear me?
You're very loud.
I project a lot. It's the barrel chest.
So
Training.
Eric is now speeding along, just like, coffee.
I have no idea where we're bloody going, so you lead the way. Well, he leads the way. I don't know where he's going.
He walks back very quickly, goes behind Ada, starts pushing. He's like, quick, lead.
Ada wanders towards the, Ada's never one to do something directly because she doesn't want always her intentions known. Kind of like wanders a little way around to the wealthier side of the festival where things cost, a gazillion dollars more for no really particular reason half the time. I mean, there's some nice stuff, but it's kind of, at this kind of thing, it's just the people with the better presentation are selling very similar stuff.
See, that's why I make my own fashion.
Is that what you call it?
Is that what you call a pair of legs?
Yes.
I think I had a walking stick once. It was about twice as thick.
As you make your way across towards the the upper end of the festival, this is an area that's not necessarily, there's no real barrier between the upper and lower end of the festival, but there is very much a point that most people know where their price range is. Moving into the upper festival, it becomes much more like there are performers in the streets. There are various dancers and musicians. You see these stalls which are all selling sort of artisanal, shall we say, wares from around Hymgard. There's various places that sell mead or, various types of like cured and like smoked meats. And sort of various other baked goods and foods that you very quickly realize are at the... While, there's no one to say really like how to value things, they're very overpriced. There is a lot, like, you know, there is nothing here. No one here works in hack silver. It is entirely like full silver to gold. And everything's, you know, like very beautifully packaged. It's all like, you know, glass, like these beautiful glass bottles and decanters. Everything sort of wrapped very nicely, and everyone around here seems to be very, very well dressed.
Ada pulls out her proper handbag, her proper coin purse versus the one she has in her hip with the actual real money in it, and pays for a very expensive cup of coffee for Eric. Pondering if even this is something that can bring
life.
Joy.
Cool. So the man behind the shop like offers over a sort of small sort of like metal cup of coffee. As you take it and sniff it, it's not necessarily strong, but it is very flavorful. Like, it is very much in that for a moment you sip and you're like, wait, I ordered coffee, and then you're like, wait, no, that's coffee. But there's also, you know, like caramel and chocolate and various sort of like other green spices to it. There's a lot more flavor than I imagine, you know, Eric is used to having in his coffee.
Yeah. Eric will probably take a sip, go like, Thank you.
I'll stick to the magic potion I had before. I'm still wired at that night.
Yeah. Ada, you do also see in this area specifically a number of your, I don't know exactly how you rank your employees, but there are a number of your what I imagine you would consider sort of your finer employees, very much making themselves known to some individuals, some groups. You specifically see where are names?
Yes, the bane of every great game master.
Yeah. You see Olga, who is currently sitting, she's like sitting on a barrel, you know, sort of legs crossed. Like, basically she has a group, like a full group of what appear to be Midgardian diplomats, basically like sitting like lapdogs around her. Like, she is, from what you can tell, she has their undivided attention.
I smile and look at my girls doing their work and wink at her. Just looking for any signals that she's giving me, but it seems like everything is going fine. Is Saga in this area, or is she still on her boat?
Saga would be down at the she would have been down at the docks, like the main market dock area that you were in before. So she's not in this space, but yeah.
Just, you know, looking for someone random for absolutely no reason to flirt with. I would but she just kind of wanders around, just trying to pick up the little hubbub as the chaos gremlins behind her are like, ooh, and shiny weapon. And Hugo's like, ooh, I could modify that and add something insane to it to make it explode.
Nah. See, a weapon like that, the blade's too thick. What you want to do is you heat it up and then you soften the steel. Drill some holes through it down to the handle, and I can put some burning oil through it, so when she lights it, she can throw flame, like fire at people.
Yes, and then you'll come back to my clinic. I'm treating burns for about, what is it, the 10th time now?
11th.
Of course.
And some poor artisan, like, blacksmith is just, like, in horror of like these like alternate like techniques of like almost holding their weapons, going no.
Or I could make bubbles come out of it too, but that would require a small fan inbuilt into the hand. And he just goes rattling on about ideas he could do. It could be a bubble sword.
Eric is probably going to try to find some like fairly like good tools, something to, because he would try to go for finer quality items like for his clinic. So either he's looking for books, tools, or potentially like a bit more high class herbs that he doesn't get along very often.
Cool. Yeah, like you'd find around this area, like as far as you can see, there's a lot of stuff in this area that seems to be built more for looks than function. Like there's a lot of the stuff here is, as you found, like, and again, there's a lot of the stuff here that you gather there's a lot of stuff here that is artisanal. It's very higher quality, or you know, whatever. But at the same time, there are a lot of things here that are just needlessly pretty.
Yes.
So even finding sections that are like tools and things like that, it is, you know, you've found the like, I've, you know, like engraved flames onto my spanners because I think it looks cool sort of thing. There are a number of places that do sell some finer tools. You find a shop that is selling it is alongside there's one shop you find that does have a selection of tools that you gather from the looks of them. They are well made. They look, you know, sort of I guess, you know, well balanced and sturdy. There's a shop known as Smoke and Fire. It appears to be, from what you can tell, a shop that is a traveling shop that is usually down in Kolmuna, which is one of the main citadels within Niflheim. The man behind the counter is a large Ogni, so completely bald on top and covered all over with these like knotwork tattoos. There's this sort of short black goatee and mustache. Wears quite a heavy worn leather apron and a tool belt that's sort of heavily laden with the tools of a blacksmith. He seems, despite, you know, having quite a rough sort of appearance to him, he seems to be sort of like looking around, and he seems like with a fairly calm and patient expression. Within, you see that, like along the table, there are a number of tools and also a number of weapons. They seem to be well made. They look quite nice, but they're not needlessly pretty. They're not something that you're looking at. A lot of the other tools you look at and you go, yeah, it's great, but I'd never use it. Like it's, you know. You also see across the back of his stall there are, amongst the tools on the table, everything seems to be well made, well crafted, and it is made with some level of, what would you call it?
Artistic flair.
Aesthetic in mind. There is it does have an artistic flair to it. Across the back in a cabinet, like a large glass cabinet, you see a number of firearms. There's sort of various rifles. There are a number of handguns and other such things that are, as you look up and you see them, they are exquisite. Like they are these polished, long, sort of almost spiraled barrels with this beautifully carved and polished timber stock and like finishings to them. You know, various like beautifully polished fittings and fastenings on them. And yeah, as you approach the man behind the gun, he turns and he says, "Oh, I'm sorry. Can I help you with anything? Tools, weapons? One of the Firearms? What are we after?
Oh, honestly, I'm fascinated by your firearms. Very
Ada
exquisite.
wants a gun.
He turns and looks over and he's like, yes, Smoke definitely knows what he's doing. He's been doing it long enough.
Gonna lean over to Ada. Do you think his arm will blow off from the recoil?
It's like, would you mind if I was able to have a look?
Oh,
You think they can hold it up?
I'm sure we can do
That's
that.
what she said.
Which one were you wanting to look at?
I'd say I'd probably go for like one of the short ones. He'd be like, "Oh, it's one of the shorter ones. I'm not much for a rifle myself."
He turns and pulls out what is more or less like somewhere between what looks somewhere between a revolver and like an old like flintlock pistol. Pulls it down. He says, "Yes, these are the he snaps it at the middle open, and you see the like revolver style sort of cartridge inside. And he says, "This is one of the newer models that Arkin's been working on." He sort of holds it out to you, and he's like, "Just be careful around the finish on it."
I feel like Eric would just inspect the quality of craftsmanship and just kind of just admire it, because as much as Eric can like stuff for aesthetics, he's much more into practicality, and he likes how things are made.
Cool. Can you roll me a perception check, please?
Absolutely. Can I add on to searching to find like extra little things that I find interesting about it, or like little things of engineering potentially? Okay, that is my. Sorry, the math.
Oh wait, we add things to our rolls?
Yeah.
That's a 12.
The first thing that you realize as you take this weapon, in your hand, is as someone like through the Varg, you would have held firearms before. This firearm is, at the moment you take it in your hand, you suddenly realize that almost every gun that you have held before is front heavy. Like, there is something about this as you take it that it is balanced. Like, it is the point that even as you pull it, you're like, this does not feel like there's anything there. Like, it feels like it moves. Like, it almost, in a way, it almost feels like it any movement you make holding onto it, it's fluid. You also realize, looking over this, that it is not machined, it's forged. It has been more or less like all the metal parts to this have been forged. They have not been machined out. They are wrought steel, and for that reason, the quality of this firearm is exquisite. Like, looking over the parts of it, you see, everything is smooth, everything is clean, everything is even. There are, various sort of mechanical pieces that move in together that are almost like flush, like beautifully connected, and every moving part is like almost, for lack of a better word, perfect.
Damn, Dragyn, you're selling me on this.
It is
gun. Here's the thing: can I afford it though?
You're really scratching my brain with this one, mate.
You just see him like
Sounds like
poking
this,
over the table, just like
This
Yeah.
weapon made for somebody you might like to hang out with. Hugo, what's their name again?
Oh, and so you're approaching the man, the Ogni. Yeah. He looks at me and goes, sorry, I didn't see you there. These are all made by my business associate, Smoke, Sindri Stormdoor. He's not around at the moment, which some may consider a blessing. But, yes, he does very, very fine work, indeed.
I have an out of roleplay question.
Mhm.
What modifier do I add to my roll if I am skilled in something?
So if you have a focus in it,
Yes.
it adds a +2.
Good to know.
Cool.
How much is such a pretty firearm?
He looks over at the gun again as he looks down at like something under the desk as he sort of says, that one is one of ours runs about that's about 150 silver pieces.
You really want that gun, don't you?
Like Eric is just like he knows he does. He doesn't want to admit it, but he does. Because I think he adores the craftsmanship more than the actual use of it, probably in his head. So he just kind of like sighs, just. What do you want?
How badly do you want it?
What do you want?
How much do you
Bring me
even
a
have,
favor.
mate? Wait, Eric, do you even have money?
I have money, just not a lot of it.
Is Eric the poor one?
It's like, remember, I'm the one that binds you when you're bleeding and half dying. Remember that.
And remember, I'm the one who pays you for it. Money that gets you things like this beautiful, absolutely stunning. May I have a look?
Like, I'm gonna just gently pass it to him, and it's just like.
I hold it up to the shopkeep, let him know that I'm not going to do anything weird.
He
with it.
seems. You notice he seems like, even as you're holding it, for someone who is holding a firearm in, like, with no, as far as you can see, no one really around or something, he seems very calm.
Wonderful. I'm going to do a smithing check.
Yep. Cool.
Yes. So that is a 14 with a 3 on the special dice.
Cool. Yeah. You, like, looking over it, this is... Depending on how far you have traveled, this is a very odd technique. Because in your mind, as you look at this, the concept of everything that he has done as far as forging, you recognize that it can be done a lot faster and a lot more efficiently just by machining out various pieces of metal. However, in this case, forging it, you realize as the way he has done it has created what is a stronger, more consistent piece of metal. And the timber that he has used essentially across the board creates a very sturdy, while keeping the entire thing fairly lightweight and balanced. It is fantastic crafting.
Hats off to the smith that made this. This is a fucking beauty. Beautiful.
The Odie chuckles. He says, well, I'll be sure to tell him that.
And it is worth every silver as I pass it back and look at Eric.
He takes it back and he's
Right,
like,
I look up at Eric and pass it back.
Literally the epitome of, you're just a little hater, and... Eric is just staring at Ada for a while, and it's just like... You know, a favor sounds simple on paper, but with you, I have a feeling it's not going to be that.
You're such a smart boy.
No.
I'm just gonna, like, just put my hand over your face, just shut up. Shut up. Don't lick my hand, that's unsanitary.
Why does it taste like blood?
Why don't you ask Ada's boy? How about that?
What other firearms are there apart from the revolver?
Looking through the back, there are a number of rifles, essentially. There are a few what appear to be essentially like shotguns, including a few of them that are like sort of just shorter, essentially like sawed-off shotgun-looking things. You also notice at the in the top right of this cabinet, there is a just because I've realized that I've thrown this in here and I really want to make the reference. There is what essentially is like a poster or like a rolled out portrait, essentially. It shows this very what do you call it? Very heroic looking dwarf. He's standing sort of, 1 foot up on this large, very sort of woolen, greatly fanged and tusked beast that appears to be sort of slumped and dead under his foot. And he's holding this rifle that looks very similar to the ones next to it on his hip and looking off to the distance. He has this, almost like sort of, what do you call it? Like the pompadour, like mohawk that runs down the center of his head. He's got one monocle and a large, sort of this large red mustache and goatee that seems impeccably trimmed. Underneath it just says, the chosen weapons, the chosen and only guns used by Outestide Thaddeus Grunden Magnusson III.
How dare you? How dare you, good sir? This is a bloody rip off my E, and this is Hugo. He has a longer name than me. This cannot stand. I need to get some titles and mix it in. I need to slay a beast of some kind with something smaller so it's more impressive.
Like, I have a few titles I can bestow if you'd like.
No. The titles have to come from people with substance.
This gentleman seems like a very fine crafter of the skills that you're into. Is it someone that you would like to meet and collaborate with?
Oh, absolutely. That would be bloody-tastic.
The Ogni turns and looks and he goes, Mr. Magnusson's not, he doesn't make these.
No,
smoke gentleman is what we're talking about.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
Smoke, yes. Sindri, yeah, he's very good at what he does. Not one for conversation, usually, but,
Wonderful.
look, well, you can see how you go.
How long are you and Smoke in town for?
Oh, we should be here for a few days. We gotta sell a few pieces here and then make our way back down to Kolmuna.
Do you take repairs or potential commissions of some kind?
Yeah, if you need something made, we can have a look.
It's like, Eric would take out one of his little boxes and lay them out, and pick out sort of like a scalpel, and it's just like, I need a few more of these. Very delicate work, very hard to find good practical thing. I don't need much for aesthetics, but it's like, I wouldn't mind having some of these.
He pulls out, as he reaches, he says, may I?
Please.
He takes the scalpel out of your hands, turns, reaches inside his apron and pulls out this small pair of pince-nez that he sort of fits onto his nose as he stares down. He goes, yeah, easy enough. No, just like this?
Yes, please. 2 would be be good. And if you can potentially sharpen that one, that would be preferable.
Hey, no problem at all. Easy done.
How much would that cost me?
Oh, 2, you said?
Yes, please.
Ooh, could do you... What would it be? I'll do you 2 and one of the... I'll do you 2 of those for 2, be a silver each, and I'll sharpen this one for you for nothing.
He looks at Ada. It's like
Ada just beep.
it's just like one favor. You get
Is-
one.
How many hack silver makes a silver?
There's not really a direct translation to it. It's kind of... Generally, it's sort of like a... There are those that work in hack silver, and then there's those who... Generally, it'd be the idea if something is worth a silver, you would know it can be bartered for, like... You could turn around and say, like, hey, I'll give you 10 hack silver for it. Anything pushing into the, like, actual silver coins area, no amount of hack silver is going to cover that. Like, that is moving into intense amounts of hack silver.
Okay.
Generally talking about it, like, just for behind the curtain stuff, I generally use hack silver for stuff that's, like, I really don't want to take... I really don't want to consider, like, copper and stuff like that. So if you're sitting there going, like, I need a meal, I need a room, I need something, and I don't really care what it looks like, then I'm going to be like, cool, it's a couple hack silver, which means that it's just like, yeah, you've got it. Like, if you're sitting there going, like, I want to go and get the most fanciest meal and room that I ever can, then I'm going to be like, cool, it's a couple silver. Like, but if it's, generally speaking, so if it comes down to 1 silver... you would know, like, in-world, in-game, that is sort of a point of being like, you would know that you'd be able to go, hey, I've got 10, 15 hack silver, and that's usually okay. But generally speaking, once you start, people who, generally it's the idea, people who work in silver do not work with hack silver.
With the starting gold that we have, is that hack silver or is that silver?
That'd be silver.
Silver.
Oh, sweet.
So yes, Eric would just be looking. It's like one favor. You get one.
Or one favor to me.
Which also, actually, I might have to amend the price on that gun. Hold on a second.
He turns back to Ada. One.
Ada just gets out this little book out of her drink, writes it down.
I have an ink stamp if you need him to put a fingerprint.
No, I do trust
Oh,
Eric
damn.
too. Eric is certainly one who keeps deals.
That's true, at least.
It's quite easy to know, like, keep deals. You know where I live.
I know, but
Yeah.
you have a history of deals and favors to certain people and making sure you keep up your end of the bargain.
Still don't know how you got a house, prime location, where the moment you walk out, the sun is always glaring directly in your eyes.
Lucky, I guess.
Yeah. Was that sarcasm?
Does he possibly
No.
have any firearms that look like a little Derringer gun? Like,
You're
Ow.
like, just for someone who knows, like, a few gun terms, but not all of them, you're talking about just, like, a small, like, essentially...
like a little Derringer gun is the guns that they used to have, like, in the Wild West and stuff. It was a little lady gun.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
very
Like the,
easily concealed that you
Yeah,
could, like,
yeah.
literally just have up your thing and just be
Aw.
like, you did. Like, come on.
That sounds like Ada. Like, you stepped to me. You chose poorly.
yeah.
Like, give me a hug.
I feel like also, like, Ada's quickly becoming sugar mama of this group, and I'm not sure how I feel about it.
She literally paid for my own meal with my own money that her person stole from me.
No, that's petty. That's not sugar mama behavior.
It
Good
does.
boy.
It does not appear so at this moment. Like, as looking over, it doesn't seem like there's anything in there that that seems to fit that bill.
Are there any smaller flintlocks that are less gorgeous in design? Or is that like the only pistol he's got?
Really, like, looking over this, it seems that everything's built like. Looking over everything, especially as someone who understands like the craft to this sort of degree, whatever the look of this weapon is, it is this craftsman's brand. Like, it is very much their thing. Like, they're everything here. Like, all of the things in the back cabinet, they all appear to have the same style of like stock, and it's not, I forget what it's called, but like
aesthetic.
They have the same aesthetic. And they all seem to be crafted. Yeah. But the so you gather that it's all whatever this is, it's sort of very much he knows that he can sell these guns and does not think he needs to make anything budget.
Easy. I'm gonna remember the look and make and model of that revolver pistol.
Mm-hmm.
Where
That
could
is
we
a
find
goal.
this smoke if we were wanting to risk our necks for just a peep of admiring his craftsmanship?
I mean, are you're looking to see him working, or you're looking just to have a chat with him?
Ada always loves a chat.
Ada, I would not recommend talking. I would recommend watching him work. You would probably get more appreciation from him for that, so long as you're quiet.
I was more thinking of you, Hugo, and
Oh, I'd love to watch him work.
Probably wouldn't be working too much while we're here. But he's usually around. Usually where it's quieter. He's not one for people.
It's like, I relate to that far too much.
You're not one for life.
How dare you? I'm a doctor.
Are you?
Eric, if you wanted to get away from people right now in this particular space, where would you go? In this vicinity.
It's like probably somewhere quiet among a garden, particularly dark place in a tavern, somewhere behind the stalls, perhaps. Perhaps
Not
home.
Ada trying to use Eric as a bloodhound for also people who don't like people.
Could I actually try do a perception thing of searching potentially, just to be like to see if I could find this man?
Relatable check.
So
Introvert check.
So you're attempting to do like a thinking. You're trying to do almost like a mind palace style sort of. If I were going to, if I wanted to be somewhere quiet, where would I go?
Yeah, I feel like I know this town enough that I would know some good spots.
Okay. Roll me a... Be a history... Sorry, an intelligence check. It'd be an intelligence, because you're actually thinking. You're thinking rather than looking.
I'm a smart boy, like Ada said.
Mm-hmm.
I got 2! I got the stunt thingies.
Nice.
Yes! So I got... Excuse me, let me do math. That's a 16 total, and I rolled 2 6s, and on the stunt die, it was also a 6.
Nice. So, you know a few places. There aren't many, but you know of a few places within Vartengard where it is both, shall we say, safe, and that people, at the very least, if people go there, they don't make a lot of noise. The first one is the main tavern known as the Drunken Drakkar. It has a number of booths in the back that are, you know, that from personal experience, I imagine, that they are fairly not soundproof, but definitely they're quieter than the rest of the tavern. Quite often, for most of the nights, they are kept as private booths, like actual hired out table service booths. But during the day and during non-busy hours, they're usually pretty open. The other one is down the end of one of the main piers. So around the far end of the sort of the harbor, there is a pier that you're not entirely sure what it's for, but there's very rarely anyone there, and those that are there go there because it's quiet.
The smoke man of yours, is he a drinker?
Yeah, he can be. We usually have a, you know, when the drinks come out, the tools go away sort of deal, but look, if it's drinking away from people, yeah, he drinks.
I know exactly where he is. It's like, and Eric would just do a little tap, but just thank you, and I'll be back for those tools. I appreciate it.
Wait, Ada, why are we looking for this guy again? What are we trying to ask him? We want to talk to him, but what are we trying to get a discount off him, or what are we trying to get out of this, mate?
We're trying to connect you with other people so you'd leave me alone.
Oh, nah, but you're like my best friend. Nah, you don't get a choice. It's not that kind of friendship.
I'm fairly certain, these types of things require some level of consent.
See? You saved my life with this little cut here? Yeah. Now
To be
you're stuck
fair,
with me.
you were dying at the time.
And
I
now
didn't
you're
really have.
stuck with me.
I swore to do no harm. I swore to do no harm. I swore to do no harm. And then as he's just walking away.
Hey Ada, how much silver you got on you?
How much have you got? Why do you want to know?
I mean, I just want to buy that gun so I can flaunt it in front of Eric. I don't even use guns. Ah!
I want to buy that gun so I can get something out of Eric. We're kind of same, but different.
We might be able to work something out where we split it. Maybe we both get a favor out of Eric. You get 2 because you already got 1 from him.
Look, let's just try and hang out with this fella. Maybe get some skill increases for you or some connections to.
Oh, I fully think that he's going to try and bite my head off, but
cool.
You don't ask
do
another Smith
something
for his
where
secrets.
you battle? I don't know how you guys work. Do you
Oh yeah, there's
battle
this thing.
off,
There's a blade smithing competition. I can't remember what it is. Forged in Blaze or something, where you make knives and short swords and stuff like that. Yeah, that's a competition that happens.
I just thought you guys might beat each other up until one of you admits supremacy and then teaches the other one the stuff that they do. Or
Weird
the other one loses. The other one loses, but
that like a
you
dwarf
lost in
thing
such
you
an
think we do?
honourable way.
Is that like what you think dwarves do, mate?
Maybe I just spent too much time on the wall. Never mind.
I think you did. We're actually very sophisticated, eh?
Is Ada just low key racial profiling?
Ada's you're
not wrong, but
you're a lunk of a person. Don't you just know how? She doesn't know how blacksmiths pass down information and tools and skill sets. She's just
Yes, they beat the shit out of each other for secrets.
Dip, dive, dip, duck, and dodge. That's how we pass down info. If they get something wrong, they've got to do one of those things to avoid a hammer being thrown.
Yeah,
See,
the
I
life
pull out a small
expectancy-
hammer. I like to use this one. I don't actually use it forging. This is a rock hammer. But you see, if you get them right in the nook of the elbow, they're going to feel that for a week. You still work them, though. What?
I just thought you might think it was cool to meet this guy and stuff. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Much appreciated. Much appreciated.
Eric is just yelling out already ahead of them. It's like, I just want a place to sit down. I'm already sick of the sun.
Here comes the sun. Do-do-do-do.
Where are we going? Eric?
I don't know. I'm following him.
It's like, the drunken Draka.
Oh, I can do with business there while you guys entertain yourselves. That's fine.
He's like an introverted bloodhound.
As you,
It's
so you,
He'd be very upset that he's leading his friends to. It's like, no, now they're gonna know the place where they can bother me. I gotta find new places.
Now we know the place where you can bother him.
No.
So you find your way to the back towards the central areas of Vartengard. You find the Drunken Drakar is a large, fairly what would be a fairly plain looking building, were it not for the upturned longship that serves as its roof. Looks essentially like sort of a fairly square, solid wood panel building. The large double front doors are wide open, and inside you hear the sounds of sort of murmuring and chatter every so often, a loud raucous laugh. As you make your way in, there are sort of trestle tables and various smaller tables filling the space with a long bar that runs down the right-hand side of the building. Behind the bar, you see a number of figures moving back and moving back and forth. The main one in the middle appears to be a dwarven woman. Sort of fairly well built, but still quite sort of round features. These sort of like large rosy cheeks and this long braid of brown, like deep chestnut brown hair over one shoulder as she's turning and pointing and like yelling out orders to people around her like the captain of a ship. She wears a sort of this fairly sort of plain like white blouse underneath an apron. As she turns and sees the three of you, she gives sort of a wave and then turns and starts to like prepare a couple of mugs of beer. What would you like to do?
Drink.
Yeah, I feel like they try to order a drink, and then Eric would try to be kind of on the lookout for someone who is broody, probably a bit drunk at this time of day, and potentially hands covered in soot.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's a stereotype. See, if he's drinking, then he's most likely spilt some beer or something on his hands, and you want to look for dark calluses across his hands. That's what you want to look for. And especially if he's got wrinkles near his eyes, he's been squinting to try and stop the sparks and the slag from getting in there. That's what you're looking for.
Well, I let you here, so your turn to be the bloodhound.
Oh, fuck. Where's a stool? I'll find a stool.
He's just like,
3 beers, please.
The woman behind the bar leans over and is just like, oh, yes, certainly. Hurries over, like, pulls three mugs of beer for you and hurries back over, like, places them out.
Lovely. I'll put some hacksilver down for it. Is it hacksilver down through here?
Yeah.
What's the... Chuck's down some hacksilver. Thanks, love. You're a legend. And I turn around, hand you to a drink. All right, let's have a gander. Is it perception?
Yeah.
Is it...
So roll me a perception check.
I have no skills in this.
I do. That's the funny part. I'm just ignoring you. I'm just not like, nah. Oops,
That is
sorry.
a 14 with a 5 on the special dice.
So you wander around for a moment, keeping an eye out for anyone that seems out of place or anyone that fits the bill of someone that you'd expect to be a craftsman of this sort of style or level. You see, as you make your way up the back, there's a small stage that seems to be set up where there's a few musicians and a woman who's singing, and there's a small crowd around that seem to be sort of like clapping along or, you know, sort of cheering and laughing. Off to the right from that, in the darkest corner you can find, you're almost about to turn away when you see this slight glow from the back of the room in this sort of shadowed booth at the back. Looks like what you very quickly you recognize to be the glow of essentially like highly heated metal. It is almost like a hot poker sort of looking thing. And as it sort of glows, you see the almost like illuminated face of a dwarf sitting at this table. Looking over, he seems to have, in a similar vein, sort of this like sides shaved on his head, with the top pulled back into this sort of long cord of a ponytail. Short, sort of like tufted beard, an expression on his face that just seems to just be like unapproachable. Like, it is stern, it is grumpy, it is like, for all, if we were to gauge emotions where Eric is just sorrow, this guy is anger. Like, he is just like
this.
Just yeah. And he seems focused on something, like as he's staring at this, like at the glow of this poker. He's sort of just glaring down. But in the illuminated light, you see this slight little blue flash in his temple, as you see what appears to be a small, what seems to be some sort of cybernetic implant in the site in his temple, essentially. It's difficult to make.
Beer, please, love.
Difficult to make him out in this light.
Make it a large one.
Metal to glow in with no forge. Ooh. That's not Ada speaking. It's just me going. Ooh.
Oh, I was going to answer. Yep, I'm going to ask for one more beer, but make it a large.
Mm-hmm. The bartender turns, like, pulls another beer and hands it over to you.
Thank you very much, lovely. I'm going to hop down. I'm going to make my way. He's over here. Don't use a loud voice. Just act like your normal grouchy self. Ada, you're perfect how you are.
I was just going to let you go, Frolic. This is for you, darling.
I agree. I would like some quiet.
I go and I frolic.
Cool. So you approach the table. How are you approaching the table?
Quietly, but openly as I walk. I'm not being like, it's like, just walk up, blank expression. I'm gonna hand him the large beer. I'm gonna put my beer down on the other side of the table. I'm gonna sit down. There you go, mate.
As you sit down, and your eyes adjust slightly to the darkness, it's not like gloomy, but it's definitely like it's the back end of the bar, and there's you gather that the light here has either been turned off or just doesn't work. You see his eyes like lift from whatever he's doing to you, and you see across his irises, there's this light, almost shimmer of light as he pauses and he says, I'm doing all right.
Well, that's good, mate. See, I hope you're having a wonderful day, because I've got a question for you. And a bit of a statement. First question is, how did you get that revolver pistol, that solid shaft all the way down the middle? How did you manage to keep the steel from getting too brittle, whilst keeping the chamber soft enough for the bullet to go through? You have me perplexed on how you managed to get the tempering of that down.
He lifts the hot poker, like this hot tip of metal, that you realize at this stage, as he lifts it and extends his hand, is one of his fingers. As you realize that with the whirring of gears and the shifting of joints, that his entire right arm is mechanical. As he lifts his hand, he shakes it, and you watch as the finger, you hear there's this slight sound of quenching as the finger goes dark. And he turns and says, now if I went telling every backwater smith my secrets, I wouldn't have much of a business, now would I?
No, you wouldn't. But I figured it's worth an ask.
Is there anything I can actually help you with, or can I get back to what I was doing?
Let me think. Now this is actually me having a think. Did I can't remember his name, the guy in the stall. Did he actually tell us where he was from?
They are from Kolmuna. It's essentially the Ogni capital in Niflheim to the north.
Okay. And what race is Smoke?
Smoke, from what you can tell, he's by all features, he is dwarven. However, as you look at him and realize, like, look at him, he is rather small. Like, as far as, you would imagine, like, of dwarves being, usually are fairly larger, fairly bulky. His frame, and you realize as he's sitting in his chair, almost like his arms are almost up to this, like, sort of, almost like a kid sitting at a desk sort of thing. You gather that he is most likely potentially part, maybe half Nis. But there is no way to really tell. He could also just be a small dwarf. But by all appearances, as far as like facial features and sort of bone structure, shall we say, he is dwarven.
Okay. Oh, we love a short king. Luckily, I am not there. He would have killed me.
I would throw this beer at you.
That's just Rogue talking. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
For everyone watching, Rogue is like 4'2".
Not that small.
Legally, she's a dwarf. Now, I am curious if you're willing to let me in on the story. Where you're heading next, just so I can keep an eye out in case I see your wonderful wares again. And if you're willing to let me know how that happened, and I point to his arm. Because that is a beautiful piece of machinery.
He looks down and, like, sort of rotates his wrists, like clenches and unclenches his fingers a few times. He turns and says, actually, first of all, give me a communications test at this stage.
Sure.
Wish there was a help action right now.
Ooh,
Dang it.
this guy's just not
Nah,
gonna
he's
like
fine.
me very
He's
much.
fine.
He to be fair, Smoke doesn't like many people.
I remember that finger being red hot. I was like, oh, keep my throat away from that. So that is a 6 and a 1 on the special die.
You, at this point, like I'll say, also as someone who is able to, like, as someone who has their mind in sort of metal and machinery and that sort of thing, you recognize as you've said this, and you see almost in your mind, you see a face, like his facial expression tighten further. Not to any sort of like to any sort of outward fury, but definitely to a, you know, you get, there's almost in the back of your mind that just says, that was strike 2. As he looks down at his hand, and as he twists it, you see, even in like, as he twists it, you see down the forearm, there are a bunch of things there that are not bones. There are just you gather this arm does a lot of things. As he looks and he says, we'll be headed home once Sigablood is concluded. As for the arm, well, let's just say that make sure that you keep both of yours.
Point taken, mate. I'll let you finish and enjoy your beer on the house. I hope you have a fun Sigablood.
Sure I will.
And I'm going to leave the fuck out of there.
As you like go to, as you like scooch out of the booth, essentially, he holds up his hand again, and you hear this like within just sort of high-pitched whine as you watch his essentially his index finger again starts to glow, and he goes back to this what appears to be a piece of wood in his hand.
I have a theory about that.
He's just riding on the table.
What is he riding?
Smoke was here.
See, what's he put here?
You know, like, no, it's one of the things I find very funny is like 90% of Norse runes can be equated to like high school toilet graffiti.
I love that.
Cool. So you return back to the other two. While this has been happening, what are Ada and Eric doing?
I feel like Eric is just kind of hanging around Ada a bit, just having a drink. It's like, well, I'd say it's like I'm happy Sigablood, but I hate this holiday, and he starts drinking.
Ada is doing this thing that she's very skilled at, which is small talk, while she's actually observing the rest of the room, and her brain is completely elsewhere. Like somehow managing to be all like, of course you do, darling. And very much like verbally sparring a little bit with Eric, even though her brain is like scanning the room. She's curious as if, is it busy enough for the lady at the bar to be acting as frantic as she actually is
yes.
now?
So you recognize, like, this is, as you are now sort of pushing into sort of late afternoon, early evening, you see, this crowd around the stage is growing. You know, there's a number of people there that are sitting around who have been very happily day drinking and are just continuing to do so. You see a number of musicians on the stage, a number of performers, among which there is a woman that you know fairly well and may have a certain feeling towards. You recognize a tall and strikingly fair woman. She has long auburn red hair that is tightly pulled back into braids on one side and hangs in long curls down the other side of her head. Her eyes beam with this sort of vibrant smile as she dances around and sings, encouraging other people to join in. She wears a long dress of vibrant green, and which is tied with a red silk sash and these sort of like high, essentially just above the knee laced boots. You recognize this is Frida. She is one of the local performers, and I imagine a woman that you have for many, many, many years wanted on your payroll, but continuously refuses.
Mm-hmm. Ada is listening out to see if anyone around is drunkenly boasting about heists or getting a good deal or any of that kind of drunken spillage to see if there is any. Maybe she can pull off or get some people or maybe encourage people to pull off a heist for monies. But of course she must wander over, just kind of like half hands, like Eric the beer mid-conversation.
It's like I'm just complaining about like all the people that I've had to see, and it's just like, and then it's like thank you. It's like, wait, why are you giving me your bit? Where are you going?
Why are you talking to me?
Kind of wanders
Wait, are you
off.
talking to me?
It's like, the fuck did you come from?
The floor.
Can you go
Where all
back?
dwarves come from. We just spring out of holes in the ground.
I've heard that. With you, I'm starting to think it's true.
Cool. Ada, can you roll me a perception test, please?
Climbs up on a bloody stool.
Is this related to seeing or hearing?
That is entirely dependent on what you are attempting to do. I assume it would be hearing, because you were attempting to, like...
Yes.
I guess either way, it's going to be a +2, but yeah, I'd say it's hearing in this case.
15.
15. Cool. You... strolling around towards the stage, but making a way close enough to the crowds and keeping an ear on, sort of checking in on different tables. There's nothing particularly about heists. And as so there's nothing particularly about heists, but you hear a few tables chatting about what it sounds like there's in a few nights to be some sort of concert. You hear, where did I put it? There we go. You hear that in a few nights there's a few talking of they talk about the Grand Sigablut concert. Which Bragi will be in attendance for, as he never misses it. And there's a few who speak of someone named Arnor, this being like, essentially in many ways conversation being like, oh, the Sigablut concert will be on in 2 nights' time. Yes. Did they really get Arnor Gunderson for that? It's like that's what they've said, and I don't know how, but Bragi gets what he wants, I guess. There seems to be a bit more buzz surrounding that. There's nothing that really seems to be out of the ordinary. Nothing seemed to be in the works, shall we say.
Ada wanders up towards Frida and does the whole bow with a little flourish and the hand out for the dance.
Frida turns and gives you a sort of a knowing smile and bows, sort of returns with a sort of a very deep sweeping bow. And then hops down, and you see a number of people that are sort of hey, and as she makes her way past to take your hand.
back peasants. The actual qualities arrived.
Oh,
The little spin and gives her a little twirl.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, she spins and she says, I'm having fun. I'm enjoying it. It's always good when Sigablot's around. It's such life and color and feels good. It's good. How are you?
I'm good, darling. Anyone bothering you or causing you any harm at the moment?
Nothing serious. It's fine.
Ada like kind of tilts her head at serious, but smiles.
You know, the usual professions of love going to sweep me away to far off lands, and I won't have to worry about anything anymore. You know, like they would be here if that were the case. But, yes, it's nothing I can't handle. Are you staying around for the Battle of the Boasts?
Well, if you are.
Of course. What's the Battle of the Boast without Frida?
Absolutely. Just one warning. I mean, there is one running around who's fine. But if you beware of anyone with a tattoo of a sword, a hand clenched around a sword. There's one friendly one, but where those people come, generally trouble seems to follow.
Yes, I saw one earlier, I believe. I thought I'd mistaken it, but taller fellow, long shaggy hair, looked a bit pale. But had a thing.
That one's fine. We've kind of vetted him a little bit, but if his rest of his friends come into town, they follower of a war god and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I think I saw he was in here. Sigrun got him a drink and took him upstairs. But I guess if he's all right, then that's fine.
Just stay safe. You are, while I am not allowed to capture you, you are my favorite bird in the wild, Frida.
It's only the wild birds that sing. And she
gives spins Frida around and then gives her a kiss on. I try not to be one of your sycophants. But it's so hard when you are constantly pushing me away. And she gives her a wink.
she smiles and sort of gives like sort of brushes her hair and says, "All right, well, I have a show to do. How do I look?"
Do you even need to ask?
No, but it's better when you say it. And she turns and wanders back up to the stage. As you make your way back down to the chairs, back down to your chair, you hear a slight hush start to fall over the crowd. As you turn, you see Frida stands up the front. There's a space that has been cleared off at the front of the stage. As she stands and she says, "Ladies and gentlemen, if I may have your attention one last time, it is time for the Battle of the Boasts." And the crowd, there's this low sort of rumble as the crowd starts patting on their knees and stomping their feet. And that's where we're going to take our break really quick. We will be back in just a moment. Thank you all for hanging out. We'll be back in a second. Bye-bye. How's it going, everybody? We hope you're enjoying this episode of our TTRPG adventure, Echoes of Ragnarok. If you'd like to catch one of our live streams, we stream sessions live on Twitch every second Thursday at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Time. On the other Thursdays, you can usually catch me on the same channel at the same time, playing some video games, doing some art, or just hanging with all of you lovely people. Now, before we jump back into the action, I would like to just take a moment to shout out our channel affiliates, starting with Green Ronin. Now, Green Ronin are best known for the adventure game engine or Age system, which boasts an impressive array of fantastic system sourcebooks, as well as Fantasy Age, which is the system that we use for the Echoes of Ragnarok stream, You can find Modern Age, Blue Rose, and Dragon Age, yes, that Dragon Age, among many, many more. And if you'd like to get your hands on any of the Green Ronin sourcebooks or resources, you can use the code METALGM on checkout to get 5% off any order through the Green Ronin web store. Also, if you're looking for some awesome software and toolkits to make your own immersive TTRPG maps, then you need to check out our channel affiliate, Arkenforge. With Arkenforge, you can make awesome TTRPG battle maps to fit a range of game themes and settings, which can be easily exported for use both in your in-person games or for your favorite virtual tabletop platform. And right now, you can use the code METALGM to get $5 off the Arkenforge toolkit and start making your own TTRPG maps. But with that all said, let's get back to the action. And welcome back. So, as we return to our scene, within the Drunken Drakkar, as the crowd starts to, as the music dies down, the crowd cheers, and then swiftly falls silent again as Frida steps to the middle of the stage and holds up her hands. The stage around her is quickly cleared away. A space in the center is cleared away as the musicians sort of pull their instruments back to the edges of the stage. No, that's still going. Cool. She holds up her hands, the room falls silent as she says, "As part of this evening's entertainment, we offer you a chance to aid us in the spinning of a grand tale, the legend of Ira and the Bear King." The crowd erupts into cheers again and whistles, but falls low as falls to a low murmur as Frida raises her hands once again. She says, "But friends, though this story is known by all and told by many, there are none who can say what stories have yet to be told." And her eyes glint almost mischievously as she looks over at the table that the three of you were sitting at, specifically over at Ada. Says, "What heroes have yet to be sung?" The air crackles with anticipation around you as again you see people started these little sort of chants and like looking at each other with excitement. You're all aware of this tradition, known as the Battle of the Boasts. It is an invitation to participate in a widely known storytelling game that is known throughout the taverns of Hymgard, and is known especially among the art and music-loving people of Vatngarda. The performers will generally begin with a well-known story from Ragnarok, but then we'll often allow members of the audience to get up and insert themselves into the tale and spin these events in a sort of relatable contemporary way. This is entirely a bullshitting competition. It is not in any way meant to be a oh yes, this is the exact story that happened. It is you turning around and being able to tell a good sort of story of something that you did during Ragnarok. It does not need to be connected to anything. It is just a story thing that's meant to be entertaining. Tonight's story, each of you know, can I get everyone to roll me an intelligence check? If you have historical lore, you can add that for me, please.
Yes!
It's your time. Ooh! I have 12, but I have double 3.
Nice.
Ooh.
I have 14, but I have double 5s.
Nice.
I just have 10.
10. Cool. So each of you know the story of Ida. She was meant to be she was said to be a Valkyrie, which are I will say just for everyone's sake, the Valkyrie are an actual like order of warriors within Hymgard. We are not talking necessarily about the choosers of the slain for Valhalla. They are essentially an order of warrior women who are known for being very potent fighters, but also being arcanely gifted by the goddess Freya. This story, Ida and the Bear King, essentially tells the story of her approaching the Bear King, who was one of the sort of outer Citadel warrior tribe leaders, and asking for his help in the battle that would essentially kick off Ragnarok. This story is essentially her coming to the Bear King to ask for his aid in this battle against Angerboda and the Jotun. As you know, like, again, this is but through this story with the Battle of the Boasts, it requires the participants to boast about their achievements in the most grandiose way possible, with the audience judging the best tale with a vote of applause. You know, there's no prize. It's more just, it's an entertaining thing. You know that in many ways you can participate individually, but also, as a group as well. As the event begins, there is this slow rising drum beat. Hold on a sec. Drum beats, there's this slow rhythm of drum beats and flutes that rises. One of the performers, who was one of the drummers of the band, essentially steps forward. He's a very large, sort of burly man, steps forward and lowers himself into this sort of mock throne. He is a man wearing, as you've noticed, he got changed at the back. He's wearing a very large and burly, like, padded outfit. So, like, just essentially like a tunic with, like, cushions stuffed into the arms and into the belly of it. And has he has a large sort of mock bear skin thrown over his shoulders. Lowers himself into this sort of mock throne, which is just this like high-backed bar chair, and sits with his arms crossed and a very sort of important look across his face. Frida does this sort of almost like sweeping lap of the stage, and then turns and gives him a deep bow. And she says, "My lord, we bid you join us in this most worthy of aims, the destruction of Angerboda and the Jotun scourge." Upon the mention of Angerboda, the crowd boos and jeers. Sort of like, there's quite a reaction, and as you look around, you see there's a number of children that are sort of, and their parents are like joining in. The man who plays the Bear King frowns as he turns and says, "The Jotun wreak no havoc on my kingdom, and the sorceress Angerboda has weathered the force of Midgard's mightiest heroes. What makes you believe that you will triumph against her when all others have failed?" Frida turns and like clutches at her chest with sort of mock surprise. She says, "Do you not know me, my lord? I am Lady Ida, herald of the Valkyrie, bearer of the Cardun blades of the dwarven Gunnaborg." She paces a circle around him, like very proudly puffing out her chest and sort of poking, like prodding herself with her thumb. And she says, she was like, "I held the gates of Nordrelid against the Drekki scourge. It was I who returned the great Dvergan Smith to his people, preventing the downfall of all of Svartalfheim." The crowd's now like cheering and like hollering from the back as she says, and she waits for them to quiet down. She turns to the crowd. She says, "And..."
Ada jumps up and goes, But our dear Idra, always trying to do something alone, was always missing the one thing. Charm. She did not know how to use the whip of the tongue, only being able to call out by titles and achievements, to really look into the desires and the heart of the Bear King and find out what he really desired. She skips around and she goes, because his true desires.
Sorry, Ira, Frida, as she turns and you see her, and there's this look of sort of, very overacted, contempt or sort of surprise as she turns and she says, well then come, tell the Bear King what you may offer in Ira's stead. She quickly
Not in
draws
Ira's stead, but to assist Ira in the worthy gains and battles to face against the darkness. Her companion, Adriel, stepped forward and smiled at the Bear King and tapped him on the nose. I know what your heart truly desires. A smith of renowned skill who can provide you the greatest weapon. And she turns and points at Hugo.
As Hugo saunters over.
And she would like to try and roll to see if she can stunt so she can help him.
Absolutely. Roll me a communication test. If you have performance, you may add performance.
Gambling sadly does not help in one choice that way. Damn it.
Eric is actively smiling right now. He does enjoy a very good story.
Right.
Oh god, I'm just gonna make bullshit up as I go.
Okay. 17 with 2 4s. And it's a 4 on the die. So she can
To be looking for a roleplay stunt at this stage.
inspire, which is 4.
Cool.
So he will get +1 to his test as well if Eric decides to join in as well.
Awesome.
As
you perform and as you see, as I will say, as you stand up and come around, you see a lot of people who turn to look at the sudden outburst, and then there's the softening of faces and these sort of soft smiles as people realize who it is, and sort of as you perform and as you finish up and you call up this smith, there's a slight sort of cheer and applause as they turn to look back over at Hugo.
And she kind of also adds, because no greater weapon, as she glances a side eye to Smoke in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. Shit. No greater weapon, what?
Forged by a hand such as the hands of this smith.
Ah, yes, you speak with sprinkled words of honey, but nothing sprinkles quite like iron as I bring out a hammer. The mightiest weapons were forged for you to defend and fight with Yggdramandir's own scales.
There's this light roll of sort of woo, through the crowd.
Light as a feather of a bird, strong as the scales of... No, strong as Odin's helm. And always... I'm fucking losing it. Shit.
It's all right. Give it going. Give it on. You're doing it. You're doing it.
With the wisdom to be with the charm, none could stand among. With the words spoken were sharper than a knife, as she cut down her enemies with but a song.
Ada then turns around and says, "And what else? You have Idra's strength, my tongue, and his hammer. But there is one other thing that the Bear King secretly desires." And she goes to the crowd and just picks up a small child, like a small kid, and goes,
there is one voice you hear from the middle of the crowd that just goes, "A child." He's like,
No.
Child.
And she goes, your bear cub, grievously wounded in a previous battle. Well, I have the greatest doctor that was ever created who
Oh,
can
fuck
soothe
no.
their wounds. And just was like,
I
Just
would
like-
like to use oratory to try and help out.
Mhm.
Because it helps out with crowds. I believe I need to bring up the skill.
oh, and both of you got one because I'm an envoy. When I did the stunt,
Oh.
you both get 1 stunt point automatically.
yes,
Awesome,
and
thank you.
yeah, can Hugo, can you roll me a performance check? So, communication test, please.
Yes, I can.
You get a plus
And you get a
one to
plus
that.
1 to that.
I'm gonna need a +1.
Dang it.
That is a 10.
Cool. You, as you like speak these words, there's a few people that you get sort of. You gather there's certain things that you, when you've spoken and talked about, you know, the different, like, what do you call it? Different
Techniques
like
and
techniques
lore
and different things. You've lost a couple people here. They're sort, but they do sort of like, but in the same time they sort of have this moment of like, hey! Like, and then the crowd cheers again, and everyone
So
laughs
tempted
again.
to use that reroll.
You could,
Okay.
if you want to impress the fella.
Fine, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna use the reroll.
Do
Okay.
it, do it.
Come on, come on. Okay, that's a bit better.
Yay! And you still get
Huzzah.
+1.
+1. 15.
Woo!
15. Cool. Yeah. No. So you
And 2 4s, but non-special.
Yeah. So you go to like as you finish up your story and fill up the crowd, again, like following on, you gather that this is not a difficult crowd to please. This is not. They are here for a story. They're here for a good time. Half of them have been drinking since, you know, they woke up, and
I don't care. I want to show up that grunky
yeah,
bastard.
yeah.
But couldn't you? Because you got double 4s, didn't you? You just said.
Yeah.
What was it on the special dice? What number?
6.
So you got 6
you
stump
could
points.
like use sway to like. You could like use sway
You have
to like
so more
impress
skill
that
at this than
guy
me.
to make him
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you more.
The again, as I say it every time I do this game, and there's always one person who doesn't get it. The one that is double, like the doubles can be on any 3 of the dice. It does not need to be the stunt dice that is the doubles. If you get doubles on any of them, it is the number on the stunt dice that tells you how many points you have to spend.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
6.
Cool. So you have 6 stunt points. How would you like to spend them?
I need to open the document to actually look.
You're silly. That's
We'll-
why you opened it before.
We'll get there. We'll
I
get
am
there.
an idiot.
Look, at the start of this session, he didn't even know you got to add stuff to your rolls. So we're getting somewhere, all right? Baby steps.
Woo!
Slowly but surely.
Let's have a look-see. Roleplay stunts.
Or social stunts you could look at too.
Hmm. Learning new systems is hard, Vera.
I'm gonna use sway the crowd.
Mhm.
Yeah. Your interpersonal efforts are so effective that they spill over into others in the area, and you can affect one additional person of your choice past the original target. You may use this stunt multiple times in the same roll. However, if the test that gave rise to this stunt was opposed test, you may not expand the effect to anyone who has a higher ability plus focus total than the original target.
Oh, good.
I'm aiming for that guy. I'm trying to make him hate me less.
Uh-huh. Cool. So the difficult part of that is you can't really tell at this moment how it has affected this guy, as he is still very much, you know, in his corner.
In my corner.
But you see the crowd now. Like, there are people who were sort of outside of this that are now turning around and like watching with interest. And the crowd around you is very much like starting to get like, ooh, like, you know, punching each other and starting to sort of get excited. Cool.
A child.
A child.
I feel like Eric would sigh, take a big swig of his drink and slam it on thing and stand up, as he's being roped into this by his friends, and he thought, screw it, I'm allowed to have fun for just for a little bit.
Can I say, as like the crowd sort of turns, just because I love this idea, there's this like, as the crowd turns and like from Ada's, like following Ada's gaze to the back of the crowd and you stand up, there's a brief moment of silence, and as the back of the crowd, there's just this
It's like, what's Eric breathes, and it's like, I, from common folk to noblemen, I, like, am one of the best doctors in the land, the Earl of Gout, the master of the festering arts. It's like disease comes to me to die. I will make sure your armies become forever dying, because I have stitched more wounded men and women than the Valkyries could ever think of picking up. Hell herself has come knocking on my door, and I slapped her with a poultice and told her to wait her bloody turn.
Oh!
Can you roll me a performance check, please?
Does she still get the +1?
She does, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's go. I got a 6. Like, so sorry. Excuse me. That is a total of. That was a total of 18.
Hell yes.
And I got stunt die, so I got 6 stunt points.
Awesome. As you speak and as you stand up and you like standing up and talking very proudly, you see a few people who very much were sort of at the first giving you like the like between disbelief and this sort of like weirdly mocking sort of really like sort of face slowly melts into oh hang on. Like, there's these sort of, like, eyes widen and jaws hang slack. As you finish what you're saying, the crowd's silent for a moment. And then at the back of the room, there's just this voice that just says, "Hail the Earl of Gout!" and then the whole crowd, like, jumps up and is like, "Hail the Earl of Gout!"
He's like, I should have picked something better. Eric immediately regrets this title. He's like, I should have picked something else. That was a bad move.
Oh, God. Earl of Gout! Earl of Gout! As, the crowd is just, like, erupting into cheers and laughter and sort of shouts and various, what could very, like, really be like, you know, almost like pledges of allegiance, like mock pledges of allegiance, people shouting, like swearing fealty across the way. As that finishes up, the Bear King steps forward and holds up his hand and he bellows, his voice sort of shaking across the way, as he steps forward and holds up his hands and he says, "Very well. I am sure if anyone can prevail against the Jotun hordes, it must certainly be the Earl of Gout and his mighty compatriots. I shall join my might with yours, Lady Aida." The two bow to each other, and the tavern erupts into cheers as the music starts up again.
Just like
Ada takes a knee in front of Frida, and then winks at her and smiles, says, "See, it's always better when you don't do it alone." And then just like Gives her another kiss on the wrist and then jumps off the stage.
I'm gonna waddle the hell out of there.
Eric is just now like he seems like okay, but in his mind he's like, why did I do that for? Why? Oh god.
Look, I just feel like a couple people have come up underneath Eric and have got them on his their shoulders. Like almost like, you know, like
I am skinny, someone could pick me up.
Earl,
As you sort of dance around, there's people like slapping you on the back and like, you know, laughing and running up, and there are so many people. You cannot walk like 2 or 3 steps without someone kneeling in front of you, Eric. And being like very drunkenly like holding their hands over. It's like, my lord.
I feel like Eric is just like, I need to be drunk for this.
Eric's like, is this what it feels like to be popular?
It's like, I don't understand it. I feel like this needs more alcohol.
I've written a rhyme.
Oh god. Are you gonna tell it to me?
I'm going to tell this to the bards. So that it goes down in the annals.
Okay.
Hell seeketh him out. Hear him shout at the winds of doubt. You know his name, you fear his blade, for it leads to the early spade. Follow the route to the Earl of Gout!
And you see these bards, like these skulls, instead of like hurriedly like writing down this with like tears in their eyes, like just looking like running it out. It's, oh god, that's gold.
Ada leans over as they finish this, who looks like a small, frail child. Or child, yes.
Ah!
Who pouts?
For it leads to the early spade. Smells of trout, but follow the route to the Earl of Gout.
Smells of trout.
Follow the smell of trout.
I like
the
route
dish near
to
the
the
docks.
Earl of Gout. Yes. Ah, rewrites.
As you are like sort of sitting around this table and like sort of laughing and joking about Mac, Hugo, you see just out of the corner of your eyes, you glance over, you see Smoke as he is making his way to the basically over to the door. He's got like this sort of satchel slung over his back as he's sort of making his way out. You see he sort of glances over towards you with a sort of a, what is it? One might call it indifferent, but it's, as a man from Smoke's demeanor, you gather that it is like he spent the energy to look at you. He doesn't seem to look at anyone else.
I'll write that down. Rizzed up Smoke.
Senpai noticed you.
Can you also roll me a perception test, please?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Hugo shall roll. I got double 4s, 6, 14, and a 4 on the sun die.
Cool. You see as he passes, he sort of rolls his shoulder over, and he's like wearing a sort of a fairly like dirty singlet with this like harness over the top of it that holds various tools and a few weapons. The collar slips slightly, and you see the tip of what appears to be a brand on the base of his neck. To anyone else, it would be a series of lines. Just a series of lines and sort of crosses and symbols. It looks essentially like very similar to, you know, like in Pirates of the Caribbean, you know, the East India Trading Company brand?
Yeah.
Like that sort of thing, but with like, essentially with dwarven runes in it. You recognize that this marks him as essentially an outcast. This is someone who has been banished from at least one of the empires, and thereby the entire empire of Svartalfheim.
Okay, Svartalfheim. I'm taking
It would
notes.
make someone grumpy.
No, I can see why he's angry now. Interesting. Maybe he lost stack along the way.
Shame.
While there's all this noise and banter and everything going on, may Ada kind of wander a look up the stairs to check on our boy who is having that meeting with Sigurd?
You can. So are you trying to do so with any level of stealth? I guess would be the question.
It's more social stealth than it's like. Yes, yeah, it's stealth, but it's more.
So it'd almost be like.
In
yeah.
Rather than I'm a ninja.
Yeah. It's
creeping
more
around a corner,
like
it's
you're
more like,
you're
I'm just the person who wandered by.
You're melding in, you're melding in rather than you're cool. Roll me I'll say this is a communications test. If you have I'll say if you have deception, you can add deception.
16.
16. Yeah, easily enough you make your way over towards the stairs. Once you're up onto the stairs, the upstairs area you recognize here, this is an inn. Like, heading upstairs, it's not unheard of. Once you're upstairs and getting into rooms and such, you start... that's, obviously where it starts to get trickier. But you make your way up into the corridors. It's one main corridor that runs down the center of the room, like various doors along the side towards the rooms. What would you like to do?
She's just gonna wander and see if she can hear anything. Kind of like Ada could be meeting someone.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's not true. Frida's not here.
Frida's downstairs.
Looking in the wrong spot.
So she's just kind of trying to hear if she can hear anything, really. She's not going to go and try and crack any doors open or anything like that. Just, double check if he's okay, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Pick up anything.
So all of the doors are closed. Mm-hmm. So as you make... roll me a perception test, please.
Does hearing count?
Hearing does count in this case, yeah.
Yeah. Sailors like to hear things.
Mm-hmm.
The moment a sailor hears wages, all their ears perk up.
It's a 14 with double 3s and a 5 on the die.
After strolling down the way a moment, there's a listening, not too close to the doors, but close enough to hear sort of what's inside. You hear voices. There's a few of them that you hear snoring. One or two that you hear some amorous noises, and then a few that sort of you hear some voices, one which you can very quickly hear as the rough yet charismatic tones of Sigurd's voice, along with the rough as guts and definitely not subtle Ulf's voice. Both seem to be chatting fairly calmly and fairly formally, as far as you can tell. You're unable to make out any words. but you can hear that both there's no tension or it seems to just be a fairly calm and in control conversation.
Okay. And it would be no one had followed them up there, like no one was laying in wait in a trap or anything for them that I could.
I'll say you're well aware, as we discussed prior to the campaign. The Varg all but run this place. Like, this is one of the main areas that the Varg definitely have their, their claws in.
Could I use my stunt dice to get extra information at all, from what I'm hearing?
It's 3 points.
You gather from this, like, from what you can hear, like, as far as you can hear, there's nothing that seems to be... I'll tell you what. You can't make out any real details, but you hear tones. And as someone who has worked with Sigrun and knows of her, at least most of her, her ways, shall we say, you recognize in the way that she's talking and the way that she's and the sort of the waves of her voice almost, you recognize that this is her figuring out who she has. This is almost her, like, this is her building rapport. This is her making friends, essentially, in that way of going, cool, I'm your friend, sort of going like, I'm your friend, I'm here, I want to know about you, tell me, oh, that's so interesting. And then suddenly it's like, oh, okay, I've got, and then, like, figuring out exactly, but in the back of her mind, in many ways, as I imagine,
Sticking off the list.
Ada has done as well, has gone, okay, where's my value here? Like, do I have a grunt or do I have a ranking officer? Do I have a foot soldier or do I have an assassin? Like, what?
Does she sound pleased in what she's discovering and interested? Or is she playing it cool?
She sounds pretty cool at this moment. Like, it's tricky to say, especially as, like, you can hear the tone that she is talking in is not Sigrun's normal voice. It is her, like, oh yes, I'm very charming and very happy, whereas Sigrun is very much about business. Like, Sigrun is very much a hard businesswoman.
She's going to wander back downstairs.
Cool.
No need to put anyone at risk. Don't go bursting into a room with Sigrid in it in her den of iniquity. And she will wander back down to the table.
Cool. As you sort of, like, listen for a moment and then you nod and think, okay, that's a business meeting, nothing to worry about. You turn back and look down the corridor. The corridor is fairly dimly lit. Like, it seems for a brief moment there's this almost like, did someone forget to turn a light on here? As you see down the far end of the corridor, for the briefest flash, there is, as you turn and look down the corridor, the far end of the corridor before the stairs, there is a figure standing in the middle of the walkway. He stands sort of, like, hunched over, almost like spider, like gangly arms down at his sides with these long gnarled fingers, a large, almost like moth-eaten hood that hangs down, shadowing his face from the nose down, and this long, like, wispy beard hanging down over the front of him. As you look and turn to see him, you sort of, like, from the shock, you pull back, blink, and shake your head, and he is gone. And the corridor that you're standing in suddenly is back to normal. It's brightly lit and warm and comforting.
Ada does that thing, you know, you didn't see it. You saw that? No, you didn't. Appalachia, kind of outback Australia, see something in the bush? No, you didn't. Reaction. And, you know, and she's seen some shit, but she's like, don't let this thing realize that I've definitely seen it and remember it, and just starts to, as well as she can, very calmly walk down the corridor.
You shake your head, and there's this moment of, nope, I didn't see anything. I didn't. And as you go to take a step, your foot hits the ground, and there is, from below you, there is a bang and a scream. And you feel the walls around you tremble slightly. And that is where we are going to end this session.
Wow! This man's evil.
It was smoke, wasn't it? It was smoke, wasn't it? He the little runes, he was doing a little, and then boom.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. So good.
Like,
there was another scene I was going to play into there, but we do not have time.
Yeah.
But it's great because we'll have our facts back next time, and he'll be just there in a room.
Evil bastard. How dare you?
You hurt my Frida.
Riot!
I deeply loved putting in Frida just in that sense of being like, you know, just this. I love the idea of this one thing that Ada can't have, but like desperately wants.
And I love her when you guys meet Saga, the opposite of basically Frida. It's like their relationship is like the opposite of Frida and her relationship, and it's also amazing in exactly the same, in like a completely different way.
I'm going to publish this song.
Love Gout. Oh, love Gout.
Love Gout.
Love Gout.
Love Gout.
Oh god! You know
what have I done?
The best thing is now I don't know if I don't know, and I don't think she's been watching, but I know she's in the other room, and I'm now going to have to explain to Rose why I shouted "Hail the Earl of Gout." One thing I should also probably mention really quick is that the Battle of the Boasts is not mine. And it is put into this for a very specific reason, and that is because one of the main inspirations for my world of Hymgard is a world and another section of the fantasy age, or the age world, called Titan's Grave, which is made by Will Wheaton, and he created the Battle of the Boasts, and I really, really love it. So that was my little homage to Titan's Grave, which was one of the inspirations for Hymgard and for all of this. So yes, thank you all very much for that. A huge thank you to all of you for watching. We will be back in 2 weeks for the next episode of Echoes of Ragnarok, hopefully with our wonderful Fractured Plays back. So yeah. Remember to check out our affiliates, Green Ronin and Arkenforge. We also have potentially another affiliate connection coming on very soon, which is very exciting, very, very cool. I haven't announced it yet, but we will find out hopefully by the next stream. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Don't forget these videos go up on YouTube, and we stream every second Thursday at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, Australian Eastern Daylight Time. If it's 8 p.m. on the eastern side of Australia, we are streaming, okay? Don't at me. All right. But yes, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good day, everyone.